Well, ladies and gentlemen, we are here at the Heart of Oklahoma Expo Center, and this is the opening night of the 2024 Manufacturers Throwdown in Shawnee, Oklahoma. A big 3-day outlaw kart race that wraps up with the finale on Saturday that has a potential $8,500 payday. And it's all taking place inside this building, so we're gonna head in, show you guys the racetrack. So here's a look at the racing surface that we will be on throughout the weekend. This little bull ring dirt track here in Oklahoma, it's pretty nuts. It's got a good amount of banking. It develops almost like a nice fluffy cushion on the wall as the laps get ran, and it changes a lot, and that's what I like, because some outlaw kart tracks, it's easy for them to just be one lane here, one lane there, but with how many cars and how many people are in the pit area, this thing's gonna start out hooked up, it's gonna get slick, it's gonna get sandy, the top's gonna come in, it might go back to the bottom, the middle could get cleaned off. You really have to stay on your toes here with your setup and with what you're doing behind the wheel, because it is changing. So our weekend is just about to begin. Everybody's just getting ready to get suited up. We're gonna have the pit meeting, and we're just finishing up some final touches on the AT&T so it's ready to get on track. We got the AT&T all fired up. Got some fresh rubber on it. Sounds good. We're gonna get some engine heat, and then here in just a few minutes I'm gonna get my fire suit on, and we're gonna be heading out for our first hot lap session of the day. I just about tried to knock the wall down there in that hot lap session. Not intentionally, I just went out there and was trying to get all I could out of my race car, and wanted to drive it hard. I thought that was our only hot lap session they were gonna give us, but it sounds like we're gonna get to go out again. So really just another opportunity for me to get more comfortable around this racetrack again, and maybe even throw something at it to be a little bit better. So just a little bit, we'll be heading back out, and then hopefully they'll have heat race lineups posted soon, so we'll see what we'll roll off later this evening. So just checking things out after that second hot lap session. Glad we got to go out there. I don't feel like we were as good, but also we really only got like 2 laps, and the test dummy behind the wheel ran the bottom because I wanted to go down there. And since I was in a different part of the racetrack, the car just felt different anyway. So probably wasn't the most fair assessment, but I just feel like some of the changes I made threw our balance off. So we're gonna reset, and now we'll be ready for our heat race. So I pulled a 376 pill earlier when I signed in, and like I predicted, that's gonna start us last in the heat race. I think there's 7 open heats, and there's 44 total between all the classes. So we're heat number 42 at the very end of the night. Starting 4th row outside, of course we got to go forward to get passing and better finishing points, and I think with where we're at, we'll definitely be able to do so. So in the meantime, the next couple hours, just keep an eye on the track, see what they're doing as they keep, maybe reworking it or let it fall away. Right now though, it seems like from middle up is definitely the faster lane. So right now they got what we would call a full farm session going on. Basically half the heat races are done, and they're out there, they tilled it up, and now they're putting some water on top of it to try to bring some speed back to the racetrack. So basically restart the process of what the racetrack's gonna do. It has moisture now, it's gonna come back apart, it's gonna start moving around between the different lanes. And so far the on-track action hasn't been bad. I've talked about how the top lane has been faster, and it seems like a lot of guys are relying on the curb. For me, I think you do want to be around the high side. I just think you got to be careful with how hard you run it. It's all about hitting your marks and being really smooth, and when you're on and off the gas, it's easy to kind of just send it and be wide open, and although that may be faster when you hit it right, I think it's easy to get yourself in trouble that way. So for this heat race, we're just going to really have to go where the cars in front of us aren't, but at the same time, work on making really, really good laps, and when we are in the fast lane, tracking down the guys in front of us and being aggressive when we need to, and also being patient when it's time to be patient. But probably another hour or two, and we'll be on track coming from row 4 here. did okay there. You know, we were really close to what would have been a stellar heat race going 8th to 2nd, but I got a good jump. I actually got a really good start. I think overall, you know, I need a little bit more from my car, but I also just need to attack probably more on the track. Like I did good, but I just took too long to solidify getting 4th place, and then I wasn't far there behind 3rd. I just needed to gas a little bit more those last couple laps to maybe get a shot. It was hard because they were racing side by side using the whole track, and right now, the story so far of the weekend, the top's been really the only place, so it's really hard to really go anywhere else and make a lot of speed. But you know, a tiny bit frustrating just because I want to be as best as we can be. But 8th to 4th isn't terrible. If we win our heat race tomorrow, we should be in an okay spot. So fast forward 24 hours here, we're about ready to roll out for our heat race. Starting on the pole, I think the goal is clear. Just get a good start, get down the front stretch, and work on running the best 8 laps possible. This is a great chance for me in racing conditions to see what my race car has in clean air, and also give me a chance to build a little bit of confidence, you know, running as fast as I want to run, and then also, you know, seeing what the racing surface has as I can kind of just go where I want to go. They've really been working on it, so hopefully today there is a little bit more of a bottom, middle, and top, and throughout this, if I can, you know, put some distance to myself and the rest of the field, I can really try out each lane and see where we can be better as we try to set ourselves up for a qualifier. So strapping in now. So did what we needed to do there, led all the laps. It's crazy, I feel like it's happened to me a lot lately when they've had these 2 heat formats where every time I start in the back, I never get a break. But then like I started on the front row and we had a handful of cautions. It makes it tough, especially right now with where the racetrack is. I feel like it's kind of just, you know, send it would be the word, or basically if you can get a slide job off on someone, you can almost clear it from a long ways back, but there isn't really a second lane because everybody's up by the curb. I mean, that's where we were. You can kind of see by our sidewall, but I felt really good, you know, with where the racetrack was, had a little more grip. They've been really out there putting water and even maybe some chemical or something to try to keep it fast, but right now it's still kind of hard to race, so track position is key. Luckily we did our job though. We did all we could, and now we'll just have to see where that's going to set us up going into a qualifier. So we have some good news and bad news. They just posted the qualifier lineups, which was basically the top 20 in points, 10 in each qualifier, and then they invert the top 4. So the top 8 in points would be inverted. I thought we were going to be in the top 8, but some of my math must have, I guess, just been off in my head. How things shook out, and then, you know, I think the first couple heat races had 1 extra car, so those guys had a chance at, you know, technically a few more points. We ended up 14th, so we're now going to be rolling off from 7th in the qualifier. And you might be asking, well, what is the good news? Well, the good news is, at least starting as far back where we are, and with how tight, you know, the points are, we're about 24 out of the lead. Starting 7th, we have a chance to get more passing points than the cars in front of us. So if we can have a heroic 12 laps, we can make up some ground, get into the top 10, and actually have a shot at getting towards the top 5. We just have to make up a lot of ground, which is easier said than done. But my race car feels really good, happy with where it is after the heat races. The track's just still kind of fast and difficult to pass, and, you know, a lot of guys are relying on the cushion as we have all weekend long. But qualifier will be up next. This is definitely going to determine you know, how the rest of the weekend's going to be set up. So it's big, but at least we have a couple extra laps to make it all happen. Okay, so I don't want to say mission accomplished completely because we didn't go 7th to 1st, but we went 7th to 2nd. I think we scored more points in the qualifier than anyone else. I finally just, like the heat race, I feel like yesterday when I only went 8th to 4th, I just didn't do my job behind the wheel, and today got up on the wheel, things went my way, even though a couple points in the race I kind of got knocked around, but just kept my feet on the floor and made the right moves at the right time. So passed 5 cars there and really hopefully made a jump. We don't know exactly where we're at, but I'm hoping we're somewhere in the top 4 or 6 in points. Follow me this way. We had 2 problems tonight. If you pan over here, we have a cracked hole in our fuel tank, so I think we're going to use some JB weld to try to fix that up before tomorrow. That could be a bad problem. And then also in the heat race, one thing we had to change is we had an issue with my throttle cable, so it was starting to hang, and luckily we caught it, because that's one of those things. Obviously if my throttle hangs wide open and we're under yellow or something, that is unfortunately going to end whatever time I'm on track. So we changed the throttle cable, we're dealing with the fuel tank, and then I'm going to go through and also maintenance this whole entire car, so we have our best shot tomorrow to capture the 50-lap victory. I feel more confident than ever. I'm really happy with where we're at, and that run kind of is building our confidence and building everything into tomorrow's $6,000 to win payday with the additional lap money. Well guys, we are actually, when it all panned out, they just posted the points. We jumped from 14th to 2nd and are going to be rolling off from the front row outside starting position for tomorrow's 50-lap finale. It's crazy how sometimes in racing I felt like I kind of had my back up against the wall there going into the qualifier, and I was either going to make it happen and go forward and get those points back, or I was going to be in a little bit of a hole going into the finale. And luckily my car was really good. Things went well for me on track and just ran a good 12 laps there and passed as many cars as I needed to. I think even with how the format shook out, if I could have won that, I would have actually maybe been the high point car. Just with how they did it, since I was down the order and we were all only in 2 qualifiers, it was a massive opportunity. Every car I passed, I was basically taking points away from them that were ahead of me and giving them to myself. So that's kind of how that all shook out. In this racetrack, it was typical Shawnee, just as close to the fence as you could get and drive it as hard as you can and really just let her eat. You guys know that's not really my style, but I feel like last year, it kind of took me all weekend to get to the point of having that mentality, and probably similar now this weekend. Kind of taking me all weekend to get in the car, driving it right, getting it set up exactly how I want it, and now we're at that point as we're in position to start up front in the finale. So to end it, big shout out to Factory QRC and Jimmy Elledge for always making my Outlaw Kart racing happen. I would not be here without Jimmy. And then also a big shout out to the Boss Big Box Store. They're located just south of us. They have locations in Texas, in Dallas, Fort Worth, and Austin. Those guys have been really good to me lately. They supported my Shark Racing Kart Devil's Bowl, they're supporting Chili Bowl, and then also now they are on my Outlaw Kart, so it's great to have them along for my journey. Anyway, time to get some rest, and we'll be back for the big finale in just about 24 hours. Deuces.